Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Igbo Girl Living. If you're seeing me for the first time, I post faith, fashion, and lifestyle content here every Friday and every Sunday. Join the Fashionable Believers family by clicking the subscribe button, turning on your bell notification, sharing the video, and giving it a huge thumbs up. I'll be right back to join you. Thanks. So, I know you guys are wondering, this is a new angle. You haven't seen this side of my room before because I do shoot in my bedroom. But today I thought I would try something that I've seen other YouTubers do over time, and that is my own mukbang. So I figured this is the most realistic way for me to shoot this video, because when I do eat, I do tend to eat on my bed. My TV is just right behind the camera, and that's how I eat my meals: breakfast, lunch, brunch, dinner, whatever. It's about almost 12 right now, so I'm having brunch, and I'm just having some pan-fried potatoes with some seasoned veggies or seasoned spinach, and I've just tossed in 2 pieces of bacon. I have a tangerine for fruit, and I have a bottle of water over there. So I thought I would just quickly share all of the jobs that I've had since university. For those of you who don't know, I actually have my first degree, and I did my university education back in Nigeria. So I'm a graduate of English language from the Lagos State University. And that was really the first place where it was starting to dawn on me that I would probably need to find some source of income other than pocket money that mommy or daddy was giving me. And there is where, I had one or two friends who had started going into business for themselves. So that was my first glimpse into the life of an entrepreneur. In fact, I had one particular girlfriend who, I think she started out selling jewelry, gold jewelry, gold plated jewelry in school, and somehow morphed into events planning. And today she's a very, very successful events planner or events decorator in Nigeria now. She does a lot of the decor for really high profile banks and businesses in Nigeria. I'll leave her name on the screen. It's called Jasmine's Nest. You might want to check her out for all of your event decoration needs. She's really, really good and has been doing this for a really, really long time. Okay, so my first foray into entrepreneurship was starting my own ushering business. Now, before I decided to start mine, I had been a part of another organization, and that was really just a church link up where they would get events or hire to serve or have ushers at events, and they would contact us. They had a bunch of girls who they would contact to come and do these events. So what we would really be doing was if it was a wedding, or depending on what type of event it was, we had our job description. We would either have uniforms or be told to wear specific colors just because that's what the client wanted, or it was just branding for the business we were representing. And I liked doing that for a time because, I just saw the behind the scenes of what it meant to be an entrepreneur and run your own business. And I thought I would be able to do that. I was wrong, because when I did eventually try to start my own hostessing business, I think I called it, what did I call it? I don't remember what I called it, but I think we only were able to do one event, and that event was even given to me by the person I was dating at the time. So he was working for a private electrical company, and they were having, I think, their end of year party or something like that, and they just needed hostesses for the event. Now I couldn't go because I think it would have been some sort of conflict of interest or whatever, but That was my first real foray into entrepreneurship. Now, I've also tried starting a t-shirt business, and I don't even know where I got the idea for that, but I had to find somewhere or someone who would print on t-shirts for me, and I tried to sell those, and I don't remember if I did sell any, but I know that I was actually wearing my own t-shirts, but that also did not do well, didn't go anywhere. This was me just trying my hands into entrepreneurship, and I think I discovered early on that maybe I wasn't meant to be a business owner or an entrepreneur. So I abandoned that for a while, finished uni, and before going to serve, because if you're in Nigeria and you finish your university, you go do this 1 year mandatory service thing that they say you do for your country. So they post you to all different areas of the country, and you're there for a year serving in different places, offices, schools, local governments, etc. So before I went, my friend, my really good friend, Talk by Fash, hey girl, if you're watching, she introduced me to the entertainment industry, and I actually met her on one of these ushering jobs that we did, and we just really clicked and became really good friends. So I think she was trying to get into the entertainment industry, music and movie industry at the time, and she kind of brought me along. So she knew a lot of people, because then the popular university to go to, everyone wanted to go to, was University of Lagos. Everybody went there. So almost every entertainer in Nigeria that you see, maybe half of them or more than half of them, went to University of Lagos, aka Unilag. And so they all know each other. In any case, that's where she went. And so she knew a lot of people who had gone into the entertainment business, in the movies, music, radio presenting, and other such places. And she had talked to me about it and told me there was this comedian who was looking for like an events planner of sorts. And I was trying to get into the events business at the time. I don't know what sparked my interest, but like I said, it was somewhere I thought I was going to pitch my tent, build a career, and become really popular and famous. No. But anyway, this comedian she introduced me to was Winga Adeyinka the first. And he's a very popular comedian still to this day. And I was kind of like his events planner. So there are a few events that he was organizing, and he just kind of put me in charge of putting those events together. So I would be responsible for sending out invitations and giving specific invites to specific high profile guests that he invited, and just making sure that all of the vendors, all the people who needed to be present to make the event successful, had been contacted and had confirmed their attendance, and to, go figure out the venue, pay like all of the behind the scenes stuff. That is what I was doing for him. And I think I organized at least two, if I'm not mistaken, 2 or 3 events for him. I think one was like either a Valentine's party or end of year party or Christmas party. And another one was another type of event. I don't remember, but they were all successful, and I actually enjoyed the process. So after him, the same friend Tokwe also then told me about another comedian who was looking for a personal assistant. And that job would still involve event planning, but also doing a bit more hands on work with the comedian. That comedian was Basket Mouth, and he is also another really very popular comedian today, one of the more successful ones, that is. And I was his personal assistant for a couple of months, a little under a year, and all of this was before I had to go do my youth service. And so I worked with him as his personal assistant, and also part of my job was putting together or organizing, helping him coordinate his own annual comedy show that he used to do. It was under the umbrella, I think it was called Humor Unlimited. And he would have this show every month, I think, at a specific venue. And my job was again to give out invitations, make sure everybody who was billed to come and perform or uh, be like a crew person was there. So the lights people, the stage people, I was really talking to a lot of managers in terms of artists, but he was really the guy who would talk directly to the artists, just have that initial conversation, and then follow up was me. And then I would also send out invites to major people he wanted to come. So I was going to banks, I was going to radio houses or radio stations, and giving out invitations. I would go with him to meetings sometimes and just do other errands here and there for him. That was actually a fun job, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I think that was also another job that I did that made me feel like I wanted to go into the events world. Okay. So after doing that, I went to do my youth service, came back. I think I worked with him a little bit again, but then I think it was time. I think somewhere along the lines, I was like, I need to get a corporate job because then, the comedy industry, the entertainment industry was still just growing. So there wasn't really a lot of support in terms of people's interests in the industry, and so it wasn't really making money as such. And the only money you were making is if the person you were working for was doing well, then he actually could afford to pay you well. But in any case, what we really wanted at that time was the corporate job, the office job. That's where everybody wanted to be. And it was either you wanted to be a banker or you wanted to work in the oil industry. I had neither the brains nor the energy for either, even though I did take one or two bank examinations, just to see if I could get in. I could not because mm-mm. And so job I ended up getting was at a company called Oceanic Registrars, and it was a subsidiary to one of the bigger banks, Oceanic Bank at the time. And for me, that was close enough to a bank job. And I worked there for maybe a year and a half, and it was actually a good shtick for a while because I worked my way up from being a contract staff to being a full member of staff, and kind of like what I would call like the second person in command to my supervisor, who was in charge of my own specific unit. So if she was unavailable to attend to clients or whatever, she would always put me in charge to do all the stuff that she would normally do. So I was overseeing a bunch of stuff. I was interfacing with customers one on one. I needed to know a lot of the computer work and stuff that she was doing, all of the information, passwords, and stuff. I used to have access to all of that. So I was actually building a career for myself in that way. But then something happened midway that kind of deaded all that for me. And I'm embarrassed to say that. And I think it was a relationship that caused me to come leave that place because I got involved with someone in the office, and that's why they say office romances are no good. And that relationship kind of ended badly, and it just threw me off my game to the point where my job started to suffer. It started to become obvious, and I just couldn't handle it anymore. And so I started to look for another job. I found another one for working for the general manager for the now Radisson Blue Hotel in Lagos. At the time, it was still the construction site. So he had a personal assistant who was a friend of mine, but she was going abroad to do her master's. And so she needed a temporary fill in for her for a year while she was abroad studying. And she kind of gave me the hookup, and I got the job working for the general manager. If I remember his name, I think his name was Mr. Dalvang. I think he was German. And like I said, it was a construction site. He was really never on seats because he was always traveling within different hotels, setting them up. I think they had what they called like the managers who were just going to make sure that the hotels got set up in the different countries or wherever he was. So a lot of my work with him was he was away and I would be in the office, sending him documents or whatever he needed. Um, because of the flexibility of that job, I was able to get a second job while I still was doing work for him as his personal assistant. So I got another job that was actually not too far from the construction site as a marketer for a just started mortgage bank. And so that was my first time working two jobs, earning two salaries, and I was bawling. So I would show up to work first to the bank, do the morning meetings, and as a marketer you have to go and find customer. So when we are done, I to go and find these customers. I would just cross the streets to the hotel and go clocking for the day over there. I didn't have to be there too long. The manager told me I could just come in like for 2 3 hours every day and then just leave. So I would go there, do my 2 3 hour things, and then still be able to go out and see if I could find customers, and then go back to my bank job and clock out. So that was really fun. But it didn't last long because the mortgage bank was struggling to find its feet and they were kind of letting people go like flies. So we're all dropping like flies. But before they could fire me, I quit. So that job didn't last long. And so when my friend came back from her studies abroad, I had to leave the hotel. And that was when there was a long pause before I found another job. And that job was working for a an education company. In fact, this is one of their work outfits that I'm wearing. It was called, the company was called Maple Education Canada, and it was a company that was working in partnership with schools in Canada to get students from Nigeria to come study. So undergraduates and graduates, and I was part of the admissions team, and we did that whole thing. We would have annual education conventions, so I think that's what they were called, every year, really, really big. And the company would do branded clothes for us like this, where we would go and really try to recruit students for all of the schools. I was in charge of a couple of schools at the time, and so I really had to know all of the information about at least 5 to 8 or 10 schools. So people would come to the office wanting to know what they required to attend such and such school in Canada. If we didn't have a relationship with the school, we couldn't help. But if it was a school that we actually had a relationship with, then we were able to process the admission for you and also help you get a visa to Canada to study. So it was a study visa, and then there were people who were looking to work for a little while after doing their postgraduate studies and then possibly become permanent residents. That was also a service we provided. And then I did that job for almost 2 years. In fact, a lot of the friends that I have now are friends I made from there and Oceanic registrars, I might add. And then I left from Maple Education to another um, company that did a similar thing, but instead of Canada this time, it was the UK, and it was the office of Swansea University in Lagos. They had just a small office in Victoria Island in Lagos, and it was just the manager and myself. And again, I was like the admissions officer slash office administrator or whatever you want to call it. That was also a job I did for a year, and it didn't last long either. Stuff happened, and that was that. And it was in the middle of that job that I got married and, kind of just moved away from corporate life, and I tried my hands again at entrepreneurship. I think I tried to do like a gift basket business where I just customized gift baskets for any and every occasion. I try to, have those baskets in different businesses and stores around where I lived at the time and just get my friends and family involved. I don't even know what other thing I tried to do, but at the end of the day, I knew that entrepreneurship was not for me and I couldn't really hang, even though I tried again here in the US until I find myself here making YouTube videos and being a content creator. That works for me. So I've talked for almost 20 minutes and I haven't taken one bite of my so-called food, and this is supposed to be a mukbang video. So sorry about that, guys, but that's, I just wanted to share quickly my um work history with you guys, all the jobs I've had since uni, my attempts at entrepreneurship and working in the corporate industry until now, where we're all doing this unconventional jobs and becoming content creators and influencers and blah 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 blah. So that was the video today. I just thought I would share quickly with you guys this part of my life. Let me know in the comments below what you think, if you've had any unconventional jobs, or if you tried your hands on something that you thought was going to be your career path but you ended up somewhere entirely different. Don't forget to subscribe, give the video a huge thumbs up, turn on your bell notifications, and share the video. And I will see you guys soon. Bye.